Some of the most iconic franchises also happens to have the game's best players. Throughout many generations, dynasties created, legacies cemented, signature moves invented, finals MVPs presented, role players much depended, Andre Iguodala's layup rescinded, longevities extended. Subscribing to Wilson's YouTube channel, highly recommended. After the Boston Celtics captured banner at number 18, many questioned whether the duo of Brown and Tatum would ever get it done. Many still bragged about the big three of Garnett, Pierce, and Allen years. Aside from the reigning champs, there's been plenty of first-time NBA champs over the last decade, led by sensational all-time superstars at their peak, while the Milwaukee Bucks hoisted the Larry O 3 years ago, breaking a 50-year franchise drought, winning and dominating 50-piece Greek-style McNugget fashion. A bunch of NBA teams like the Knicks and the Sacramento Kings have had a long history dating back to the beginning of time, back when the league was called the Basketball Association of America. The previous Rochester Royals, living off their 1951 title, the 2025 Kings might not be real contenders with better teams out west, but at least with the addition of DeMar DeRozan, having a lethal duo of De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, the franchise aims to be shooting for the right direction, now stable after many years of misery. Same goes with the Knicks, making huge splashes in free agency with the Nova squad and maturity of fearless leader Jalen Brunson. The streets of Broadway could be filled with basketball glory confetti come June of next year. Knicks fans haven't been this optimistic about their team since the mid-90s, with the real possibility contending for a title, but a couple bad franchises today with no sense of direction, a questionable future, no real plans of competing, and likely not landing a superstar free agent anytime soon, a combination of a bad front office and countless of dumb decisions. Those teams continue to hold on to golden memories in the past. Some of these franchises might never see another title in our lifetime. Starting with the Chicago Bulls, nobody could imagine what the franchise could have looked like if it wasn't for the greatness of Michael Jordan, the most decorated athlete the world has ever seen, elevating the brand of basketball to global heights. After The Last Dance, many truly believed the franchise made a deal with the devil, having massive success achieved in the 90s to all of a sudden massive incompetency. The franchise never even came close to making it back to the finals post-MJ, only one conference finals appearance in 2011. More than half of NBA teams won't even have 6 championships total when the NBA hits its 1-century mark by the year 2046. Winning 6 in a decade for one team might never happen again. Following banner number 6, the main guys all went their separate ways. Chicago became the bottom shelf of the league, having their second worst record over the next 10 seasons. A combination of bad luck and poor decision making pulled the franchise back, from trading future all-star Elton Brand and Ron Artest to the motorcycle accident to number 2 pick Jay Williams, and probably landing top pick Derrick Rose on a 1.7% chance. Welcoming the Garpax era, the biggest disaster of an all-time front office bust. Franchise did surround Rose with the likes of Joakim Noah, respectable Luol Deng, and Carlos Boozer, with the hiring of defensive-minded Tom Thibodeau, leading to a magical 62-win 2011 season, seeing the youngest MVP in league history, lost to a more talented Miami Big Three team, followed by a dominant 2012 regular season, before tragedy struck. Rose tore his ACL Game 1 Philly series, when the outcome already decided. One of the saddest moments in NBA history, from bright future to uncertainty. Teams still very competitive without Rose got to the semis 2013. Rose never became the same after tearing his meniscus, just 10 games returning for the 13-14 season. Then came the injuries to prime Joakim Noah end of 2014. With the rise of young Jimmy Butler's stardom, franchise swung for the fences, landing multiple-time All-Star and 2-time champion Pau Gasol led to a 50-win 2015 season, only needed to get past LeBron for a huge chance at the finals. Went up 2-1 with a Rose game winner, the highest moment in the franchise's history the last 10 years, before James responded with a game winner of his own Game 4 after a controversial no-tech timeout called by David Blatt. Bulls eventually lost that series in 6, leading to one massive disaster after the next. Thibodeau fired, front office hated coach playing his stars heavy minutes, replaced him with the fragile Fred Hoiberg. Management chose him over Jimmy Butler. The two butted heads did not get along. An absolute horrendous, unforgiving travesty of a decision. Signed Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo, got rid of the declining Rose and Noah. Team then had leadership problems, got rid of Jimmy due to Gerpak's ego, building off young Zach LaVine and Larry Marketing. 4 straight piss-poor seasons. The Jim Boylan saga had players ready to boycott his practices. A teammate sending another to the hospital after a fight. Owner Jerry Reinsdorf only caring about profits. Chicago being the 3rd biggest market in the US. Bulls only paid the luxury tax once, content with just competing for a play-in, a disgrace to their fans. Also owner of the White Sox, take a look at their record today. Both Wendell Carter and Marketing developed better with other teams. Gerpak's fired 2020. Team only made one big midseason move 2021 to acquire Nikola Vucevic, signed Lonzo Ball, DeMar, and Alex Caruso, aiming to contend. Traded Marketing for the inferior Derrick Jones Jr. First half of 2022, a couple fun months led to the unfortunate, devastating knee injuries to Lonzo. Franchise doubling down with the current talent, signing Zach LaVine to a supermax, only became injury prone ever since. 3 straight years, franchise made 0 moves at the deadline, the most unserious organization in the entire association. The Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young's tenure and career record, the king of being subparly average. Although better than the Bulls this century, this franchise doesn't move the needle one bit. Only a title when the team played in St. Louis, relocated to Atlanta in '68, Division Finals in 1970. Franchise wouldn't make it back to the conference finals until 2015, their last championship when Bob Pettit was in his prime. Then entered the Pete Maravich-Lou Hudson duel. Subpar seasons in the 70s, stuck in average land. Team finally made some noise after acquiring Dominique Wilkins the '82 draft. Key players Kevin Willis, John Koshar, and Spud Webb, 4 straight 50-win seasons from '86 to '89. But Wilkins and the team became victims of Larry Bird's greatness. Then came the Mookie Blaylock, Stacey Augmon, the Kembe Mutombo era, becoming a defensive powerhouse. Team sadly stinked after moving to Phillips Arena. Lenny Wilkins replaced as coach, the lowest point in the franchise's history, trading Mutombo to Philly, sending the Hawks to a massive decline, welcoming the Sharif Abdul-Rahim Jason Terry era, mid-30 win seasons, the brutal 2005 year. Team tried to make the young duels of Josh Smith and Josh Trogers work. While good offense and no defense, ball stoppers of Al Harrington and Antoine Walker teamed up. A couple bad draft decisions. 2005 second pick Marvin Williams over Chris Paul, then drafted Sheldon Williams at 5. The franchise never truly been bad enough to land a transcendent superstar in the lottery, but never good enough to truly contend for a title. Decade after decade, built around Joe Johnson, only won 37 games in '08, but took Boston to 7. One of the most prominent draftees, 3rd pick Al Horford, became the heart and soul of the team for a decade. 3 straight second round exits from '09 to 2011. Joe Jesus traded 2012. Then came 2014, the Mike Budenholzer heavy offensive era, a well-balanced team with fairly good players, Horford being the most rounded guy, but nobody considered a top 15 caliber player. Excellent 60-win regular season, but crumbled to better superstars come playoff time. Franchise torched by LeBron repeatedly, 0-12 against the conference best player, all with the Cavs. Big Al then took his talents to Boston 2017. Team found a replacement with the erratic Dwight Howard. Then came the tank times, trading away Luka for Trae Young. Franchise now feeling the pain 6 years later. Then the miracle 21 conference finals run, mediocre talent, thanks to a bunch of injuries and Philly choking. Atlanta getting that far so early. Franchise had false confidence, failing on the DeJounte Murray experiment, then landing the #1 pick. Trae's future uncertain. Every time something good happens, the Hawks always have something bad to follow soon after. No team in NBA history has been as mid as the Atlanta Hawks. The last time they were true title contenders, back when Bob Pettit was hooping, he's now 91 years old. The Washington Wizards, an absolute abysmal disgrace of an organization. Terrible, awful, lame, pathetic, as dysfunctional as the current White House administration. 0.8 miles west from Capital One's arena. 50-win seasons. How many conference finals since 1980? Absolutely none. The most laughable dumpster fire of a franchise, living off their Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes 1970s era. After a window of missed opportunities, the team wasn't even supposed to win the title in 78. Unseld was already past his prime, but trading one title for half a century of sucking on all cylinders, Unseld remains by far the best all-time player the franchise ever had. Helped the Bullets make 4 finals in 1 decade, including 12 straight playoff appearances. Since Unseld's retirement, the franchise stuck in no man's land. Not bad enough for high-quality draft picks, but not good enough to be taken seriously. The forgotten Jeff Malone and Jeff Rulin era, 2 guys many of you never heard of. Instead of going through full rebuilds, Washington always doubles down, trading for washed up big namers, becoming super terrible early 90s, drafted Juwan Howard out of Michigan, trading for Fat 5 superstar Chris Webber, and landing Rasheed Wallace. All the talent and promises led to 1 playoff appearance between 1989 to 2004, losing to Jordan's Bulls in 97. Webber and Howard's incidents off the court broke up the team, trading C. Webb for an older Mitt Richmond, a huge mistake, ending a what-if promising era. Webber would later dominate in Sacramento, only the refs cost him a ring. Then came a retired, frustrated Michael Jordan running the front office, had enough seeing how bad his players were, deciding to return to a terrible franchise, turned a 19-win team to 37, but had no help. His 2 years with the team swept under the rug, leading to the Gilbert Arenas era, a breakout second-round star coming off 2 seasons with Golden State, then added Antoine Jamison and Caron Butler. Washington finally made the semis in 05 for the first time since 82. Less than 2 years later, Arenas tears his ACL, never the same again. Then came the Javaris Quinton gun incident, a damaging moment, leaving a black hole to Arenas' legacy and Washington as a team. Those mid-2000s Wizards, now remembered just a warm-up team to battle test LeBron in the playoffs in preparation for an all-time postseason longevity run. The Wizards were LBJ's first victims. The front office for many decades operated like they were drunk 24/7, kings of giving max contracts to every quality player who played in uniform. For a few years, all those players end up regressing terribly. 2017, the last glorious year led by prime John Wall, trading away a possibility to get to the conference finals to a full decade of losing brutality. Wall's supermax contract kicked in after his Achilles tear. Even non-All-Stars Otto Porter, Jan Mahimi, Andrew Nicholson, and Davis Bertans got fat contracts. Every time Washington missed out on a free agent, front office simply got way too reckless, sabotaging their team, failing to give prime Wall help before his body broke down, then giving Bradley Beal a supermax and a no-trade clause, only to finally trade him, to being stuck with the erratic Jordan Poole, reminding fans of the Andre Blatch, Swaggy P, JaVale McGee memes era, a useless NBA franchise that just happens to exist to get made fun of. How many people do you honestly know that's true Wizards fans? Being a bottom 5 offense, defense, and game attendance, the king of Shaq and the Fool University, declining to compete with just good players but not great ones that move the needle. Team could have blew it up after 2022, trying to land Wemby, instead became bad in an all-time weak draft class, only to pick the king of Summer League travesties Alex Starr, another brutal 82-game awakes before the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. The Portland Trailblazers joined the league in 1970. During the struggles of Jeff Petrie and Sidney Wicks, team landed transcendent superstar big man Bill Walton out of UCLA, the second best player all-time college basketball's ever seen, but hampered by injuries, just played 35 and 51 games first 2 seasons, then hired head coach Dr. Jack Ramsey. Big Red's high IQ, elite passing, and interior defense led the franchise to its first ever title in '77, upsetting Dr. J Sixers. From then on, Blazer Mania was supposed to become the next NBA's dynasty, on verge of having one of the most dominant seasons in '78, well balanced with all-time chemistry, winning 50 of his first 60 games before Walton suffered a life-changing injury, a broken foot, still enough to win MVP. Team collapsed without him, injured himself even more returning for the playoffs. Turned out his left ankle completely broken, demanded a trade, citing unethical and incompetence treatment by the team doctors. Ramsey still kept the team afloat, 3 straight first round exits after Walton's last game in uniform. Then came the Clyde Drexler era, the 14th pick of the '83 draft, 21 straight postseason appearance, and the absolute regrettable decision drafting Sam Bowie 2nd overall the '84 draft ahead of Michael Jordan. Knowing they already had Clyde, a forever regrettable decision still haunts the franchise to this day. In the big man-oriented era, Bowie struggled giving Portland any meaningful production. Team under Drexler did become contenders by the early 90s, a deep supporting cast of Terry Porter, Jerome Kersey, Buck Williams, and Kevin Duckworth, good enough to win a title, but just missing one more piece, a missed opportunity when team drafted big man Arvydas Sabonis, playing for the Soviet Union during the Cold War, kept away from the NBA, overworked, destroyed his body, finally joined the Blazers in '95, but was already a former shell of himself, while rookie Drazen Petrovic buried to the bench before breaking out with New Jersey until his tragic passing. Drexler couldn't get past the bad boys, then fell to Magic's Lakers, and outplayed by Jordan's Bulls the '92 finals, filled with injuries the season after. Team elected to hit the rebuild button, trading away Kevin Duckworth for Harvey Grant, and angry Drexler demanded out, just in the nick of time to help the Rockets win the '95 title. 6 straight first round exits, then came '99, acquiring Scottie Pippen from the Rockets, having Rasheed Wallace and Sabonis run court with Brian Grant, Damon Stoudemire ran the point, added Steve Smith 2000, insane depth of Bonzi Wells, Greg Anthony, Stacey Augmon, Deathless Shrem, and Jermaine O'Neal, blew a 15-point fourth quarter Game 7 lead to the Lakers, one of the most excruciating losses in NBA history. Front office stupidity, adding more former big namers like Ross Strickland and Sean Kemp led to chemistry issues and massive egos, everybody fighting for minutes, a sudden collapse despite the talent, then the off-court troubles amongst half the team leading to the Trailblazers era. The Brandon Roy LaMarcus Aldridge era started, missing out on Kevin Durant, Roy and Greg Oden's career destroyed by injuries, then the 2012 draft landing Dame Lillard, a loyal star player who's always ready for the big moments, but 2015 offseason, team let multiple-time All-Star LaMarcus Aldridge walk in free agency, same with Wes Matthews and Nick Batum. Lillard never played with another All-Star in LaMarcus's caliber before getting traded to Milwaukee, a window of missed opportunities, wasting cap space on mediocre players. 2016 free agency, Lillard never had a real chance at contending, still loyal past 2021, front office continued to fail Dame, nobody truly knows what was said between Lillard, GM Joe Cronin, and ownership. The franchise still stuck in rebuild mode with Shady and Sharp, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, and DeAndre Ayton with Scoot Henderson. Another awful season awaits. Detroit Pistons, a team I talked a bunch about in many recent videos. 20 years since the title run, the curse of the franchise happened after trading away the beloved Chauncey Billups from not rebuilding right away, handing out bad contracts to unmotivated players, to letting Stan Van Gundy run the team, building around Andre Drummond, gambling on injury-prone Blake Griffin, wasting away on the atrocious Killian Hayes, having too many young developing players, no vets, no system or leadership in place. Franchise will have 6 different GMs in an 11-year span, multiple coaching changes, different philosophies, confusing many young players. The best plan they came up with this summer, signing Tobias Harris. Honorable mention goes to the Philadelphia 76ers. Superstar Joel Embiid, always injury prone come playoff time, unreliable, constantly out of shape, but at least he can carry a team to a top 3 seed, contend for MVP. None of the other teams on this list have another superstar quite like the 7-footer. Now with the addition of 34-year-old Paul George, at least many will be watching closely, plus the emergence of Tyrese Maxey, franchise shouldn't be completely ruled out. If Joel was to never get past the second round with the franchise, the Sixers will absolutely belong on this list in a few years. A combination of his injuries with awful front office decisions the last decade could make longtime Sixers fans still cherish the 83 titles with Moses and Dr. J. Even though Allen Iverson didn't win a ring, he's one of the most respected fan favorites the league will ever witness. Which one of these franchises will endure the longest struggle? Will it be the Wizards with their long history of incompetency, the Bulls, seemingly cursed post-Jordan era, Detroit, Portland, or Atlanta, forever stuck in mediocrity? Or will it be the Sixers if Embiid never takes them past the second round? Share your thoughts on the comments below and see you next video.